You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Hey, we hope you're strapped in today. Oh, my gosh, it's Monday. We got another beautiful show up on the deck there, and we're talking to an amazing author. We put, as always, into the Chris Voss Show podcast Google Deck. It's the Google Deck today, and we put in there amazing authors, and they just come to us, and it's amazing what we have going on with the show. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, relatives, and all the things we're talking about there. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, go to all our groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those crazy places the kids are playing today. We're going to be talking to an amazing author about his books on dieting. His future upcoming book, Stop Dieting, Start Thinning, comes out December 13th of 2022. David Medansky is on the show with us today. We'll be talking to him. In the meantime, let's make some announcements on some future shows we have coming up, so you'll stay tuned and refer the show to your friends. We have David Enrich is going to be on the show from the New York Times. Servants of the Damned, his new book that's coming out. You're probably hearing about this. You're seeing him on TV right now, and some of the crazy stuff that he reports in the journalism of his book. We have Cynthia Covey-Haller, who is the daughter of Stephen R. Covey. You may remember Dr. Stephen R. Covey on the show. Her Live Life in Crescendo is going to be later on this week. And the co-founder of the Carlyle Group, one of the most successful, the big funds that they do, the big private funds that they do, How to Invest, Masters of the Craft, will be on the show with us later today. And last but not least, David Medansky is on the show with us today. He is a top-selling author and speaker. He's known as the Diet Contrarian. David has identified 9 golden rules of weight loss for people who love to eat. He has helped countless people lose weight and keep it off without dieting, exercising, counting calories, or buying special meals or product. He struggled with his own weight issues until July 2016, when his doctor told him to either lose weight or find a new doctor. Wow, puts the hammer down. During the next 4 months, David shed 50 pounds, almost 25% of his total body weight, and has kept it off. He understands your frustrations and challenges to lose weight. Now his mission in life is to teach you the 9 golden rules of weight loss. So we're going to learn a lot today, so you too can lose weight, have more energy, feel better, look better, and improve your overall weight. Welcome to the show, David. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me as a guest today.
Thanks for coming. We certainly appreciate you. The new book, Stop Dieting, Start Thinning, comes out December 13th, 2022. And we should probably also plug your recent book from October 2021, Break the Chains of Dieting, 9 Fundamental Must-Have Principles for Healthy Weight Loss. You guys can pick that up wherever fine books are sold. So welcome to the show, David. Give us your .coms, your plugs, wherever you want people to find out more about you on the interwebs.
Sure. People can find me at IamThinning.com. That's capital IAMTHINNING.com. They can put my name in and find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And I'm always happy to answer questions if people want to send them to me in a direct message.
There you go. So tell us about your new book. I don't see it's up on Amazon yet, but it's coming out in December. Tell us about the new book, what it entails, and what motivated you to write it.
Well, I'm super excited about the new book coming out because it's a condensed version of Break the Chains of Dieting. Break the Chains of Dieting has won 9 awards so far, and it's also been recommended and endorsed by Jack Canfield, co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Oh, wow.
And that book, Break the Chains of Dieting, has a lot of short stories, fables, and analogies with life lessons. And I applied those life lessons to eating healthier and losing weight without going on a diet. Because as we all know, diets are temporary, extreme, hard to stick with, and a lot of them are potentially dangerous to our health.
Hmm. Yeah, it's amazing how people go through life on crash diets. I've been guilty of that, where I do crash dieting and stuff. And I like the idea of fables and stories and lessons, because what I found when I lost weight, and my audience is pretty familiar with this sort of process, is I had to reconfigure my mind, my attitudes towards food, my attitudes towards dying. And fables and stories from some of the people I read helped me reprogram that brain mindset. Is that kind of what yours does as well?
Oh, absolutely. And as you mentioned, people do a lot of fad diets. I call fat and desperate. On average, a person will attempt 126 different diets during their lifetime. So what does that tell you? It tells you diets don't work. And what I normally advocate for people is, if you want to lose weight, don't go on a diet. Instead, change your diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you really have to permanently change your life and your attitudes towards food and what you're doing. You can't just go on a crash diet and then next week you're at McDonald's eating fries and, drinking shakes and all the sugary crap that's out there. You really have to change. It's a lifestyle change,
It's a lifestyle, it's habits, and it's also changing what you eat. And it's also a mindset.
There you go. You have to change what's going on in your brain, your attitudes towards food. One of my foods is my mother used, when we go to the store as a kid, and I think a lot of people go through this experience, at least they used to. And my mother would always be like, if you guys are good at the store, you don't cry, you don't scream, you don't beg for the sugar cereal. The cracked sugar cereal that, will send you through the moon. My mom was always smart enough not to buy that. And, but we beg. But she would say, hey, if you're good, you'll get like a candy bar or a pop or something. She, usually, I think it was usually a candy bar or something, but it would be a reward. And ever since then, I would go to the store, and when I would be at the store buying food, I would be like, I went to the store today. I deserve rewards. So I'm getting a 12-pack of Mountain Dew and a giant candy bar and a bag of Doritos.
You're going to treat yourself, huh?
Yeah, I had this reward mentality that food was a reward. I'd be like, what the hell? I'll go get me a giant fat steak or some fatty chicken somewhere. It's a reward. I had a good week, and I had to break that chain of thinking food was a reward.
Exactly. We look at food in the wrong way. A lot of us use it for comfort, to relieve stress, or as you mentioned, as a reward, as opposed to fuel for our body, because our bodies are incredible machines. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure you give it the right fuel. People take better care of their automobiles than they do themselves.
That's a great analogy. People really do. They take care of everything. They like, you go to their home, it's spick and span. If they're clean people, they want to make it look good. They take their car and get it. And meanwhile, they'll just shove whatever poison, into their food, into their mouth. I had to realize that a lot of food we eat, especially if it's like fast food or if it's, some of this garbage food, there's not a lot of nutrients in it. That's why you're kind of still hungry after.
It's made with chemicals. A lot of the food is highly processed or manufactured. And when it's manufactured, it means it's made in a laboratory by a person with a lab white coat, as opposed to nature. So the other thing a lot of people don't realize is our food is being scientifically engineered. It has been since the 1980s to optimize our cravings for fat, salt, sugar, and texture. So what it does, it creates an addiction. And that's where Oreo cookies are more addictive than cocaine.
Really?
Absolutely. The research proves it.
Wow. Now, do you have to snort the Oreo cookie, or do you eat the Oreo cookie?
Well, I don't touch it now. But when I was gaining my weight, I would go through a whole canister of Pringles potato chips and still crave more and wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I got some of that from I remember the Supersize movie back in the day where the guy was eating McDonald's for 30 days straight.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm always hungry because there's no nutrients in that. If you've read some of the Franken meat, a lawsuit that went into, I think, the chicken nuggets or something, where the judge coined the term Franken meat. And I just think of that every time I think of McDonald's now. I'm like, Franken meat. And, you're right. We eat for taste. My mom does something funny where she's learned that you do eat for taste, But you really don't want that stuff in your system. And so what's funny is she'll eat like a chocolate and then spit it out. She won't swallow it because she recognizes that she likes the taste, And that's one thing I had to realize, that, the salt taste and different things, I was eating for the taste. I mean, you don't say to yourself, hey, let's put some poisonous crap that's been engineered in a thing to manipulate me like a monkey by some scientist in some McDonald's lab. I think we're losing McDonald's as a sponsor at this point, but that's okay. We don't need that. But no, and we have to, like you say, this is a really important thing. Recognize that our food is scientifically engineered to manipulate us, to enslave us, to get us hooked, just like cocaine or any other drug. People don't look at food as a drug. They're like, oh, those people on drugs over there, they're bad. I'm going to eat this whole pound of ice cream, recognizing, the high fructose corn syrup and stuff that's out there. Exactly. I mean, it's really highly addictive.
Yeah, especially M&Ms. That used to be my downfall, or Hershey bars. The list goes on. And soda is the worst thing people can drink, and diet soda. I get that argument all the time from people who I coach. Well, diet soda has 0 calories. How does it cause weight gain? Well, it's because of the aspartame, which is the artificial sweetener that's in it. And aspartame has 92 known side effects. And one of them is weight gain because, number one, it inhibits your body from absorbing vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So now your body's in what they call starvation mode because you're not getting the right fuel for it. And it also increases your cravings for sweetness. So now you crave to eat the donut, the cake, the pie, the cookies.
The other thing, a lot of people that I learned, the reason they feel hungry is they're dehydrated because they're eating stuff like pop and different things. You're talking to some guy who used to put down 10 to 15 cans of Mountain Dew a day and then drink vodka at night for 20 years.
Well, no, you're 100% right. That's the number one golden rule, is to drink water. And because in the U.S., 75% of the U.S. population is chronically dehydrated, meaning we don't drink enough water. There's a direct correlation to 72% of the U.S. adult population being overweight. And what happens, a lot of times we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. And when you drink water, then you feel more satisfied, and it's also filling, and also acts to help clean your system. The other thing is our bodies are 60 to 70% water, not soda, not diet soda, not fruit juices, and not fruit-flavored beverages.
There you go. It's really wild. What are some other things that you cover in the upcoming book that we can tease out?
Oh, I'll give all 9 golden rules, because I also tell in the book what to do, but also how to do it. And at the end, I talk about having an accountability partner, and where a lot of people will talk about how to get an accountability partner or what to do, I actually explain, how to do it and what to do during the conversation or Zoom conversation. So everything is there for everybody. But the 9 golden rules is: drink water, avoid processed or manufactured foods, eat whole foods, which I call real foods, eat small portions, eat slow, get sleep, give your system time to digest, which is the intermittent fasting, think positive, have physical activity. I advocate walking, because if you're upright and can move forward, you can walk. And the other one is to sleep more. So that's it. I mean, but people think, oh, that's simple. I know that. And I always tell people, sure, I understand you know that. Are you doing it?
Are you doing it?
No. Well, why not? If you know what to do, why aren't you doing it?
Why aren't you doing it? Sleep is so important. That's one thing I learned losing. The sleep is so important. I have to get 8 hours of sleep. If I don't, I lose weight. Now, sometimes I've done, during COVID, I kind of went on this weird binge. I think I was secretly had anxiety or something. I just went on a binge where I was sleeping for 4 hours, and then I would take a 4-hour nap later on in the day. So I was spreading it out. Well, I wouldn't lose weight. Sometimes I go up in weight during the first 4-hour period. When I take the second 4-hour period, I go into my really deep REM sleep, and I would lose 2 or 3 pounds. And then I would really lose weight. But yeah, a good solid 8-hour sleep really makes a difference in weight loss. When you wake up in the morning, you can see it on the scale, and your body needs that time to fix all your problems with your body, flush all the crap out of your system. And sleep is so important.
Oh, absolutely. What the research shows is a person who's sleep deprived will consume an extra 500 calories per day.
Really? Yeah, because you're like trying to find fuel to drive yourself because you haven't had rest, huh?
Yeah, you want to keep that energy up, and so you eat the sugary stuff or the energy drinks. What they also found is to lose a pound, you need to reduce calories by 500 calories per day for an entire week. Mm-hmm. And that's where the fallacy comes in when you see the national brands about losing 15, 20, 30 pounds the first month guaranteed. You can lose the weight. Most of it you won't keep off. So usually what I ask people is, would you like to weigh 24 to 48 pounds lighter by this time next year? Mm-hmm. And most people are like, well, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, can you lose 2 to 4 pounds a month? Not a week, a month. Well, most people say, yeah, I could do that. That's doable. Well, if you do that consistently on average for 12 consecutive months, because some months you'll lose more and some you won't lose any, over a year, you'll be 24 to 48 pounds lighter by that time. The problem arises that everything is instant gratification. We all want to be slim overnight. And what I tell people is, you didn't gain your weight overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight.
Yeah. I mean, some people put it on for years. It took me years to put mine on. It takes time to get them off. And, it takes time. But yeah, a nice slow method makes it so that people don't feel, what's that old saying? If the portion of the word diet is die. So people are like, I'm dying, I can't eat. That was another important mindset that I had to learn, that you're designed to live off your fat. And your body stores fat so you can live off it. And we live for a winter that never comes, because it used to be we would, store up some fat to live over a winter because we were cavemen and we had trouble hunting in the winter. And, you can't farm and have gardens in the winter. In caveman times, we had to put on some weight so that we could survive winter. But nowadays we live in, year-round 70-degree temperatures. So we eat for a winter that never comes. And we keep putting out weight for a winter that, we never really see. We have food 24/7 year round.
Well, not only that, we were talking about intermittent fasting, and most people don't realize back, 100, 200 years ago, people didn't know when their next meal was going to be. Mm-hmm. And we are blessed today, or cursed, depending on how you look at it, with an abundance of either food or food-like products that I call edible products. The manufactured Cheetos, the chips, the pretzels, things like that aren't really food. And what's interesting is most people can do an intermittent fast without realizing it. And what I mean by that is, if you stop eating 3 hours before you go to sleep and you sleep for 8 hours, well, that's an 11 hours before you wake up in the morning. And what I recommend for people is drink water first thing. So I usually have a 20-ounce glass of water to rehydrate. And then it keeps me full, and I don't have to eat my first meal, which they call breakfast, means break the fast, until 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and I feel fine. Because a lot of people get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're hungry. Well, again, if you drink water because you're hydrating, then you don't have to worry about having your first meal until a couple hours later.
That's really important. My first thing is usually coffee in the morning, and sometimes it really it hits me a little hard. I just made a note to myself that I'm going to start drinking water in the morning, a big glass of water in the morning before I hit the coffee. Because you're right, you're kind of probably dehydrated a little bit from the night before. I didn't think about that because I feel more dehydrated after my coffee.
Well, exactly. And that's what I do. I have my glass of water, then I have a cup of black coffee. Some people like to put their sugar and cream in it. I recommend it black, but to each their own. If you can reduce the amount of, milk or creamery put in, or reduce the amount of sugar, you'll be a lot better off. And speaking of sugar, Starbucks, unfortunately, a lot of their drinks will have between 50 and 70 grams of sugar, when our bodies only need between 25 and 30 grams of sugar for the entire day.
Mm-hmm. What I recommend is, if you have to put a lot of sugar and milk in your coffee, you're drinking awful coffee. You're just drinking crap coffee. So I recommend go to coffeereview.com. Buy some high quality coffee. If you buy high quality coffee, and the funny thing about it is not that much more expensive than you could buy a bag of coffee beans of high quality. They have on their site, coffeereview.com. I should be getting paid for this. They have ratings like you buy wine, like 95, 100, 90 to 100. They have ratings of coffee. And there's different coffee producers you can buy from, and literally you will pay what you spend in a day or two at Starbucks for a bag of coffee. So you're going to save yourself a fortune. And if you buy high quality coffee that's 90 to 100, you don't need to put sugar or milk in it. The taste and the quality of what you're going to buy is going to work for you. And then you don't have to put the milk fat in there. You don't have to put the sugar in there, and you're drinking good quality coffee. Starbucks is not quality coffee. In fact, I think it's syrup most of the time, really.
Exactly. The other thing we were talking about, foods being supersized. A lot of people don't realize our portions have been supersized without us realizing it. And the reason I say that is in the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter.
Holy crap.
Today, it's 12 inches. And at restaurants, it's 13 to 15 inches because they want to charge you more, so they feel like you get a better value. Yet in Europe, a dinner-sized plate is still 9 inches in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put the exact same amount of food on a salad plate as a dinner-sized plate, on the salad plate, it looks like you're getting a lot more. On a dinner-sized plate, it looks like you're getting a lot less, which is why people tend to overeat. And they call it the Delboa illusion.
The Delboa illusion? Do I have that pronounced right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. The studies have shown that people can come here from Europe and they can kind of eat the same foods, but they'll gain weight because of our portion. Like I have my friends in Europe all the time. They're like, I'll post something from my food and they're like, Jesus, you guys eat a lot of food. That's like a giant portion over here, man. It's like jumbo portion.
Yeah, exactly. So I use a salad plate now instead of a dinner-sized plate.
I like that. I might start doing that because I'm really bad at, even with my salads, I probably throw too much in there. And there's probably too much dressing and there's too much. I throw a lot of stuff into my salads. I've learned I eat a salad a day, and I've learned to make good salads. Some of what you're talking about, I guess, is in your prior book. Do we want to plug or tease anything out in the prior book, Break the Chains of Dieting?
Sure. One of the stories I talk about is the pot roast story, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. And for the audience, just in case they're not, there's a young lady who's hosting a dinner party, and she makes a pot roast. And one of the guests says, "Oh, this is delicious. Can I get the recipe?" And the hostess says, "Of course." She writes it down. The guest looks at it, says, "Well, why do you cut the ends of your pot roast off before you cook it?" And the host says, "I don't know. That's how my mom taught me." So she calls her mom the next day and says, "Mom, why do we cut the ends of the pot roast off before we cook it?" And her mom says, "I don't know. That's how your grandmother taught me. Call your grandmother." So she calls her grandmother, and grandma thinks for a minute and says, "Oh, because when I was first married, the pot I had was too small, so I had to cut the ends off of the pot roast to make it fit." So the moral of that story is we eat a certain way or eat certain things because that's how we're taught to eat. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about why you're eating a certain way or a certain time or a certain thing to figure out, do you really want to keep doing it that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting how much we learn our food habits from our parents and our eating habits from our parents. Like I've noticed that, fat people have fat kids. I'm not shaming anybody. And really, as far as I'm concerned, people should be, hey, you're eating way too much. We need to be still doing that in society. I'm not sure shaming is the right word, but we still need to have people going, hey, you need to back off the foods. I wish somebody had to kick me in the head a few more times over the years instead of going, "Oh, you're fine. We love you the way you are, Chris." No, don't. Please.
Well, no, you're right. I was fortunate. My doctor told me, I was 61 at the time. He says, "Dude, based on your lab results and being overweight, you got a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack." He goes, "You got two options, lose weight or find a new doctor." He goes, "Because I don't want you dying on my watch." And he strongly encouraged that I find a new doctor because he'd been after me for 8 years to lose the weight. And I hadn't done anything. Like most people, I procrastinate. Wow. I'll wait till after the holidays, after, the vacation, after we go to a restaurant with our favorite friends, little things like that. We all make excuses. Mm-hmm. So the light bulb went off and I took action. I lost 50 pounds, 25% of my total body weight, and I kept it off. And then just recently this June, I was 67 and I hiked Kilimanjaro. So I was real proud of that.
Wow. That is awesome, man. Hiking Kilimanjaro, man. How old?
67.
Damn. I'm 54. So now I feel like a boob. I need to catch up if I'm hiking for that long. So what are some other things we can tease out in the book to get the people to pick that up?
Well, another story talk about the airplane, where if you fly from New York to Los Angeles or Los Angeles, or vice versa, and you're off 1 degree, you'd be off 150 miles. Mm-hmm. And most of the planes today are autopilot. And so the plane's always correcting about 90 to 95% of the time. So what I tell people is when you're attempting to lose weight and you're changing your eating habits, lifestyle, and diet, don't be upset if you're not perfect. You want to think positive. So keep adjusting. If you have a bad day and you cheat, next day start over again. Yep. Just don't make it a habit of starting over every day. The whole thing is just keep correcting your course on your weight loss journey as autopilot does for an airplane. And then you'll get there.
What do you think about cheat days? I have these people that are like, I cheat once a week, or I have a cheat day once a week where, I go out and we pig out and eat whatever we want. And I'm just like, damn, that's too hard for me. Like if I go out, a cheat day ends up being 2 or 3 days because you're like, still on the cheat day. And what the hell?
Well, I'm not in favor of a cheat day. What I am in favor is not being a food purist. I'm not a purist by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. If I'll have a piece of pumpkin pie or pecan pie during the holidays, I like chocolate cake. What I do instead of eating the whole slice at one time, I break, I'll have it over 3 or 4 days. So I eat smaller portions. So I get a little taste. So I don't deprive myself. I just don't make it a habit. I don't make it a routine. When you have a cheat day every week, then you look forward to indulging when you don't really need to. But if you're out on a special occasion, you want to have the ice cream, go ahead and have the ice cream. If you want to have a glass of wine, have a glass of wine. Just don't beat yourself up over it. Normally what I tell people is if you're really committed to reducing the weight and keeping it off, first lose the weight, because it's easier to lose it than it is to, and then, indulge than it is to indulge as you're attempting to lose it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. Anything else you want to tease out on the book before we go out?
Well, yeah. What's of concern to me is that 80% of the population above age 50, the 50-plus generation, are either type 2 diabetics or pre-diabetics. Mm-hmm. 96 million Americans are pre-diabetic. That's about 1 in 3 Americans, and 8 out of 10 of those don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse, and that's because of the food we're consuming, because it's poison. We don't realize it all at one time, and it builds up over time. And if you're a pre-diabetic, what it means is if you do not change your eating habits and lifestyle, you'll be a full-blown type 2 diabetic within 7 years. And type 2 diabetes is not only preventable, it's reversible. And so you can improve and not have to worry about it. And that's getting to be alarming with the population, aging as we are, especially my age group, where they're having all these illnesses that are preventable.
Yeah, a lot of people are being diabetic, and a lot of my friends that were told they were borderline diabetic or going down diabetic, and their doctors gave them a kick in the butt. They changed their diet, they lost the weight, they got better. It is kind of reversible in certain cases. And you just don't want to end up, the older I get, the more it seems like my system slows down. And so, it's hard to lose weight when you get older. When I was young, man, I just, I'd go on a little diet and lose weight and it just burn off. But now the older I get, the harder it seems to be to come off.
No, I agree with you. When I was younger in college, I was eating a pound bag of M&Ms, having pizza and ice cream, never gained a pound. However, I was running, 4 to 5 miles a day, and I was playing, sports in college and burning it off. Now I just look at the food and I gain the weight.
Yeah, that's pretty, or think about it. Yeah, most definitely. So let's see. Give us your plug so people can find you on the interwebs and learn more about you.
Sure. They can go to iamthinning.com and they can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. It's my first and last name. David, last name is Medansky, Medansky, like 3 words, me, Dan, and Sky. Just make it sound Polish.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you very much, Dave, for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for being on the show, David. We really appreciate it. David,
thank you so much, Chris.
There you go. There you go. And thanks, Monis, for tuning in.
Chris.
Thank you. Be sure to order up the book, Stop Dieting, Start Thinning, December 13th, 2022, and also pick up his current book that you can find wherever fine books are sold. Break the Chains of Dieting, 9 fundamental must-have principles for healthy weight loss. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.